Have you ever just stopped and thought about time itself? I mean, really thought how we got from just looking up at the sun to knowing the exact time down to a fraction of a nanosecond. It's this incredible story of human genius, of power, and let's be honest, our total obsession with pinning down a moment. So let's dive into the amazing history of how we learned to measure time.
It's everywhere, right? Our whole world, from scheduling a Zoom call to launching a rocket, it all runs on one giant shared clock. But this kind of precision, it's actually brand new. For most of human history, just figuring out what time it was, well, that was a huge challenge. So how did we get from tracking the seasons to tracking every single second?
Okay, so the very first problem was pretty simple, but it was also massive. How do we sync up our lives with the world around us? Think about it. If you're a farmer, you have to know when to plant. If you're an ancient priest, you need to know the right time for ceremonies. The answer, luckily, was right there, up in the sky and all around them.
What's wild to me when you look at this is just how long everything took. I mean, we're talking thousands of years where progress was super slow. It started with things like sundials in Egypt, way back around 1500 BCE. And they were great, as long as it was sunny. That led to clever workarounds like water clocks and even candle and incense clocks. All of them were just trying to use some kind of constant, steady process to mark the passing of time. The ingenuity here is just brilliant. Take the clepsydra. Its name literally means water thief, which is so cool. It was a total game changer because, unlike a sundial, it worked at night. It worked on cloudy days. By just letting water drip at a steady pace from one pot to another, people could finally measure time with some real reliability no matter what the sun was doing. But, relying on nature has its limits. The next big push came from a kind of surprising place: medieval monasteries. Monks needed a really strict schedule for prayers, day in and day out. That need, plus cities getting bigger and busier, created a new demand for something totally different: a time source made by people for people. And here it is. This is the big one, the one invention that absolutely changed everything: the escapement mechanism. This little piece of genius was the key that unlocked the mechanical clock. It was the moment humanity basically stopped just watching time pass and started creating its own steady, mechanical heartbeat. So how does this magic little device actually work? Well, it's this beautiful, simple system of stop and go. You've got a weight that wants to make a wheel spin. But, and here's the trick, a little anchor-shaped piece called a pallet catches a tooth on the wheel, stopping it. Then, as a pendulum swings, it gives the pallet a little nudge, which lets the tooth go. The wheel turns for just a split second before the other side of the pallet catches the next tooth. That's it. That's the tick-tock. All right, so mechanical clocks are ticking away in town squares. Awesome. But the next problem was scale. It needed to get personal. As life got more complex with trade and social plans, you couldn't just run to the center of town to check the time. You needed to carry it with you. And this kicked off a huge race to shrink the clock. Around 1505, this locksmith in Germany, Peter Henlein, starts making some of the first portable clocks. Fast forward to the 17th century, and the pocket watch is the ultimate accessory for the rich, a total status symbol. But the final step, the wristwatch, well, it started its life as something very different. This is fascinating. Before World War I, if you saw a watch on a wrist, it was almost certainly on a woman, and it was considered a piece of jewelry. Real men carried proper pocket watches. But the trenches of WWI changed all of that. Soldiers needed to coordinate attacks down to the second, and they couldn't be fumbling around in their pockets. Almost overnight, the wristwatch was transformed from a delicate accessory into an essential masculine tool of war. But even a soldier's watch wasn't nearly accurate enough for the modern age. The next great challenge was a need for just insane levels of precision. Think about it. Railways had to avoid train crashes, ships needed to navigate the open ocean, and scientists were trying to measure tiny fractions of a second. The mechanical clock, as amazing as it was, had finally hit its limit. And this led to the most unbelievable leap forward yet. A modern atomic clock, our gold standard for time today, is so ridiculously accurate that it might lose or gain at most 1 second over the course of 100 million years. Let that sink in. It's a level of precision that is just, well, it's hard to even wrap your head around. To really put that into perspective, just look at this. A really good mechanical clock, it might be off by a few seconds a day. The quartz crystal in the watch you're probably wearing? Way better, maybe off by a few seconds a month. But the atomic clock, it's not even playing the same game. The jump in accuracy is just as big as the jump from a sundial to the very first clock. It's monumental.
So we've pretty much mastered the how of telling time, but this whole journey also tells another, deeper story about who gets to control time. Because when you look back through history, you see that the power to measure and define time has always been about the power to control society.
In the ancient world, it was priests and astronomers who read the heavens and told everyone else what was what. Then, in the Middle Ages, it was the monasteries and the city councils with their big public clocks, setting the rhythm of life for everyone. Jump to the Industrial Revolution, and suddenly it's factory owners and railway companies standardizing time for efficiency and profit. And today? Today, time is kept by these invisible global atomic networks that sync up our entire digital existence. And don't think for a second this is just some abstract history lesson. This control of the clock shapes almost everything you do. The whole idea of a 9-to-5 workday, the GPS in your car and on your phone, the way global stock markets work, the internet itself, all of it. It is all built on this long, complicated history of getting more and more precise with standardized time. So we've gone from the sun all the way to the atom. We've built these incredible machines that can measure 1/1000,000,000 of a second, perfectly syncing our entire planet. But that leaves us with one last really big question to chew on. With all this incredible power to measure time, has it actually given us any more of it?